Okay, so we're the web wizards, and our game is the Hangman game. So our statement of problem is that we developed a classic six-level Hangman game with three levels of difficulty: easy, medium, and hard, where users have to guess a word and are allowed a limited number of incorrect guesses before losing. We applied PHP to manage word selection, track the user guesses, and randomize the words that they have to guess, and also handle the game's logic while the HTML and CSS create the visual and graphical user interface, such as like the Hangman figure or like the dashes. So the general requirements of the game is the user they can sign up or log in and they can enter the game. And the next step is to beat their chosen Hangman game mode. So they can choose between easy, medium, and hard. And their goal is to beat that difficulty level. And then once you're done, you'll check your place in the leaderboard. So our team structure and responsibilities. So me, Anish Palpulu, I did the game pages and the PPT, specifically the game pages and the UML diagram. Uriel, he did the login, sign up pages, the leaderboard, and then the PPT. And Arya Williams, she did the game pages and the PPT. So our main objective is to create an interactive online game using CSS, HTML, and PHP. So the leaderboard page was built using PHP, HTML, CSS, which stores the player's time while playing the game. So like from the time they start the game and to the time where they beat the game. So for each difficulty level, there are six stages. And once the user completes them, they'll be given a link at the end to take them to the leaderboard. And and there are three separate TXT files that are utilized to store that information. The user input is basically they will click on alphabet letters that are displayed to make their guess. And once they click on one, it will disappear from the screen, so they don't have to like so then they don't get confused and choose them again. And the hangman parts will vanish if the user chooses the incorrect letter. To get the random word for each level, we used an API, which is it's called the random word API dot Versal dot app, and and we just used that to generate a random word each time, and we were even able to like condition it so like for each difficulty level, it only generated a certain length of a word, and the dashes on the game page correlate to the length of the random words for each difficulty.
So next we have the design features. So we had a couple of transitions. So the first one we had was one of the hover ones. So when the user hovers over the start button or the leaderboard page, we have the color that changes. So as you can see, it starts off as like kind of a pink color, and then when they hover over it to the right, you see it's kind of blue. And then for the leaderboard page, it starts off as that kind of reddish pink color, and then when they hover over it, that changes to yellow, just so the user knows that that's where their cursor is. Then we also have the hangman figure, which is on the game page. So we used the property display none. So it's applied when the user chooses the wrong letter. So basically, when they choose the wrong one, that causes the body part one, the hangman figure, to disappear. Then for the letters on the game page, once the user clicks on each one, we use the visibility hidden property so that they can no longer access it and they can remember what they had chosen already and what they had not. Then an animation that we included was the hangman animation, which is on the sign in a login page. So we animated a small figure to kind of swing back and forth continuously, give the page a little bit of character.
Some key sections in our project were that the use of cookies and sessions to display a temp leaderboard. So we also used cookies to remember the user on login and sign up. And with the game logic, we use sessions to reset and to manipulate um, variables that went into the game logic. For form processing, we used forms in the login and sign up pages. We also used forms in the game select pages, specifically choosing which difficulty you want to play. And for the game pages itself, so for submitting like the buttons or like starting a new level. And we used, like I said before, the logins for registrations and user. We used TXT files to keep track of users. Since we didn't have a database, we thought that was the easiest way of using it. And for the implementation of logic use, we will show you how we did everything in our demo. Okay, so here we have our index HTML, just an introduction of our team members, what we did each. If we click here, we'll be taken to the login PHP page, where the user can log in or sign up by clicking this link. Let's say we want to add a user or log into a user that does not exist. We will get a prompt saying invalid username or password. And let's say we do log into a user that does exist. We will be taken to the game select page. And a good thing to note here is that you can see who you're logged into right here, and you can log out clicking this page, or this button, which takes you to this page. For this case, we'll create a new user, just my name. Let's say the passwords do not match. We will be prompted with a error, passwords do not match. If we try to log into a account that already exists, it will say username already exists. So let's just create a new account. Okay, now you can see we are logged into our new account. And on this page, we have our instructions for the game. So easy mode will have 4 letters, medium will have 6, and hard will have 8. The user will have 12 attempts to guess a word correctly. To be scored on the leaderboard, you have to win a total of 6 times. And the user is scored by the amount of time it takes them to complete 6 wins. And a good thing to note here is that missed words do not reset the win count, and the clock does not stop. So you just have to keep guessing until you get 6 wins. From this page, you can choose your difficulty, or you can go to the leaderboard. If we go to the leaderboard, we can see some example scores, where it has the time to complete and then the username. And right here, for each leaderboard, the users are ranked by the least amount of time it took them to complete that respective difficulty. So in this case, let's say we chose easy and we wanted, we were logged into Yuri Benitez. If I completed in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I would be in rank 1. So if we click on hard, you can see the word is 8 letters long. If we go to the medium game, the words are 6 letters long. For this demo, we will be choosing the easy game mode, and as soon as we start the game, our clock will start. So I will try to go as fast as I can. So here we have 12 attempts left for a 4-letter word. Once we click a letter, the letter should disappear and the attempts left will count down. If it was wrong, it won't appear here. It'll just count down. Let's say I get a letter right. The dashes will change to that letter. The letter will still disappear, but our attempts will stay the same since we got it correct. Let's say, okay, so I finished this word on accident, but we will be prompted to start the next level, so that's 1 win already. But let's say we have 6 attempts left. Once we get to 6 attempts left, that is when our hangman will start disappearing. So if I guess a wrong letter after the 6th attempt, one leg disappears. Next one, the next one disappears. If we finish the word, we go to the next level. So now we're at 2 wins. So I'll just get to 6 wins real quick and I can speed this process up real quick. Okay, so let's say we get the word wrong. We will be prompted with the game over and it will show us what the word was and we will be able to retry again. It'll give us a new word. Our wins are still the same, so the wins don't reset and the time doesn't reset. Okay, so that we have our 6 wins, we are scored. It'll say level finished, game is finished. You have won 6 times. Now we can go to our leaderboard and we should have a new leader at 4 minutes and 1 second. So here I am, my username, 4 minutes and 1 second, and I am rank 1. Let's say I log out, I log into a different account, go to my leaderboard. I am still there on top. Okay, as you saw from our demo, this is how our login and signups work. So using cookies, if the user is logged in, it will take them directly to the game select PHP. If they are not, it will check if the user exists, and if it does not, it will send out an error message, invalid username or password. And if, let's say, let's say the user does exist and they log in successfully, the passwords match, it will set a cookie and it will take them to the game select PHP. For the sign up page, similar structure. If the user is already logged in, it will take them directly to the game select.php file. If they are not, after they post all the username, their password, confirm password, it will match the passwords. If the passwords do not match, then it will give out an error. If the passwords do match and the username does not, if the user does not already exist, it will add them to the users.txt file and log them in. It'll send them to the game select page afterwards. And for the leaderboards, the key features for our leaderboards is we have 3 different leaderboards. So that means we have 3 different files. So we have easyleader.txt, mediumleader.txt, and hardleader.txt. We rank each player and we rank them based on the time it took them to win 6 times for each difficulty. We do that by setting a time when the game is initialized, and then once they achieve 6 wins, we record that time at the end, and then we subtract those 2 times, and we get that time score, and then we will put that into the easyleader.txt or whatever difficulty they were on. They will be put into that leaderboard.
So our game pages. So the game pages, the first two functions to use is the fetch random word and initialize game. The fetch random word uses the API and gets a random word with set conditions like the length of the word or that it needs exactly 2 vowels. Um, the next function is the initialize game function that basically initializes the word guessing game and setting up the session variables, like basically the stuff that needs to be kept track, like attempts left or the game status or like the different conditions. Another function we use is a get display word function, which generates the number of dashes for the word to be guessed, and we do that through an array. where it'll get the length of the word and generate the dashes based on that, based on the characters. And we use a display letter buttons function that generates the alphabet buttons for the user to choose from. And when the user chooses a wrong letter, the letter will disappear. So our game page contains the Hangman figure, which was built using HTML and CSS. Um, when the level only has 6 attempts left to guess the word correctly, the Hangman figure will start to lose its body parts, and that's all dependent on the number of attempts that's left. So if there's only one attempt left, then the head is the last part to go. Or like if you still have um like six, like 5 attempts left, then you will lose the the right leg. So the user has to go through 6 levels of their chosen difficulty to finish the game and enter the leaderboard. They'll have a total of 12 attempts to guess the word right. If they lose, they'll get to retry with a new word. After the user wins their game, they will enter the leaderboard, which is based on how long they took to finish their game in their chosen level of difficulty. The login and the front end is similar for each game difficulty, except that the word for medium is 6 dashes, and for hard is 8 dashes. Each difficulty will write to their corresponding leaderboard text bar.
So the next thing we're going to discuss is the Kanban methodology. So, and how we utilize this in our group is we collaborated. So we discussed any expectations we had for the project and the output we wanted as well. And we also decided to make certain changes together and communicated that with one another as well to ensure that the project was effective. And this was very useful in making sure that the project was organized and it was matched all the way throughout. And we also gave each other feedback, as we were testing the project to let each other know, hey, you did this part and didn't do this. And, just so the other person be aware of what it looked like on another screen. Then we also made process policies explicit. So meaning that we communicated expectations that we had for each part of the project. And so this ensured like consistency with how the work would be done throughout. Then we also limit work in progress as well. So everybody took on their own responsibility. That's what this means. And this just helped to ensure that nobody would become overwhelmed. And if anybody needed assistance or anything like that, we were there to help as well. So the benefits of this, it was extremely beneficial in ensuring like that it was organized and efficient the way that we worked. And it also allowed us to understand the status of like how things are being completed, and it also allowed us to, continuously improve the project throughout, and it allowed us to collaborate better as well. So we had several challenges throughout this. So the first challenge we had was getting a number of dashes to equal the length of the word that was generated by the API. Another one was getting the hangman logic to work. So meaning like if the player got the wrong letter, it would tick off a part. So it took a couple tries for us to get that together. Then also another issue was replacing the dashes with the letter that was chosen by the user if it was correct, like with given that it was a part of the word. And then also generating those alphabet buttons for the user to click. Um, and then another challenge was making the hangman figure lose its body part for each of the wrong guesses, as like I mentioned above. So with all these challenges that we had, we did do a couple of test cases. There are quite a few actually. So we did these to make sure that the game was functional. So one of the test files we had was replace the API with hard-coded words instead of randomly generated ones to make sure the game was updating correctly. So like we kind of already knew what the word was, so we would know if it was functioning properly. Then another file we had was we included the file with only the API to make sure that it was actually working and generating those random words. Then in the third test file, we showed the actual word at the top of the page as well, so that we could have, just an extra measure of making sure that the page is working correctly and we know like if a letter is updating correctly or not. There's a couple snippets below as well. And then we also have our meet log here. So we met a couple times in the beginning. It was kind of inconsistent maybe a little bit because we had just started, did our log and what our plan was. And we actually didn't just start working on the project until maybe like the end of March, beginning of April.
So the activity diagram, it just shows the connection between each pages. So like the login page, you enter the valid details, which takes you to game select. And then you have three choices of the games, like the mode of difficulty, and then that takes you to the corresponding like the game page, like game page easy or game page medium or game page hard. And then there are multiple options there where you can like log out to take you back to the logout screen, go back, which takes you back to the game select screen. Or if you beat the game, it'll take you. You can choose to go to the leaderboard PHP page.